And for more analysis on the situation, we're joined from Krasnodar by Soudky Othman, Russian affairs expert. So a very warm welcome to InFocus, sir. So Ukraine has launched an attack on Crimea. How do you view this, and how do you think Russia would respond?
Good evening to you and to all the viewers. Of course, we have seen a major escalation by Ukraine and it started last month with the Victory Day celebrations. As they threatened this day, as Ukraine should have also celebrated this day. And we have seen that Ukraine during the last month launched several drone attacks. Several attacks that targeted the Russian airports, and now we are seeing direct targeting of Russian infrastructure and Crimea. All of these attacks are sabotage attacks and huge escalation on the Ukrainian part. We are talking civil airports and military airports. All of these sabotage operations on the grounds. The Russian troops are advancing around Kharkiv and Sumy. And it's not only a military escalation, also the negotiations that took place in Istanbul, as the head of the Russian delegation was he actually directly threatened of taking over more areas from Ukraine. And now Ukraine is doing its best to bother the Russian side with these attacks or during the negotiations. I think the Russian response will take some time, and we are seeing these military operations against Russia and against Russian warplanes. Lavrov is not making any statements, as well as the Russian Defense Ministry, but the response is imminent, and around the next June with the third round of negotiations, I think the military escalation will be very major. We have seen the Rashnik rockets being used, and if Russia wants to use the military option and put the negotiations aside, I think this will be a major escalation, and we might witness if the military operations continue. The certain use of certain weapons reaching nuclear deterrence.
Sir, Kiev's drone attack reportedly damaged $7 billion worth of Russian warplanes. In Moscow's view, does this justify the rejection of a full ceasefire, and what retaliation might we expect?
Of course, I think this is only to hinder the negotiations or to put more requests on the negotiation table. There were certain demands, and we have seen the Ukrainian draft before the meetings, and they have very high ceilings for the demands, such as the military reparations and using freezed Russian funds. These are very high demands, and they threatened military escalations as well. And today Ukraine is using everything it has, whether on the military front, to threaten and target the Russian infrastructure. And currently Ukraine is on the brink. Yes, during the negotiations they are trying to imply that they are the strongest party, as it's expected, but on the other hand, we have seen Russia raising the ceiling of the expectations and the demands, but the military plan has changed. We have seen Ukraine carrying out qualitative operations, not only by Ukraine, but also with the support with the European Union and the European states, such as Britain, with the Britain intelligence. Of course, the negotiations, or the last round of negotiations in Istanbul, I think it will be fatal. We are going to witness a huge escalation if Russia does not see that the negotiation is paying any fruits. They will use the military option, as now Russia will have to use the nuclear weapons, and that
Okay, sir, I'll
violate.
take from your answer this question, sir. Russian Security Council deputy said, revenge is inevitable following Ukrainian drone strikes deep into Russia. What is the significance of this statement, and does it suggest a shift in Russia's military posture, sir?
Of course, the response is inevitable. This threatens Russia directly and the Russian position in the world. They will have to respond with the weapons that they can deter the Ukrainian side and all of its supporters, especially the European parties. We are on the brink of the deterioration of the negotiations. We might see a third round, but the military escalation from both sides is inevitable. We have seen targeting Crimea and the rocket bases, the supply lines on Sumy County. Ukraine, we are waiting for the Russian response. Ukraine now is doing everything it can, and a response is inevitable. We are not seeing any statements from the Russian officials. So far, the Security Council deputy is not controlling the decision making, but he is a voice in the political internal arena in Russia. Will the response be very harsh? Of course, we are still waiting the media statements. We have not seen any media statement by the officials.
Got your point, sir. Sir, Russia told Ukraine at peace talks in Istanbul that it would only agree to end the war if Kyiv gives up big new chunks of territory and accepts limits on the size of its army. How would you interpret Russia's participation in yesterday's negotiations while holding this position, sir?
Both parties are escalating now. Ukraine,
so we're not reaching, sir, an end to this war? We'll keep on escalating? Or they are going to keep on escalating?
In my opinion, at the beginning of the negotiations, escalations are inevitable, but each side want to say that they are the most powerful party. I think that the only way is the U.S. mediation to solve the crisis. That both saying that both sides should compromise. Now we do not see any compromises, and both parties are escalating. And I think at first Europe is supporting Ukraine to escalate military-wise, and now the Ukraine with the Zelensky leadership see any ceasefire or ending the military operations is political suicide.